So we're going to work some accounts receivable problems here. And anytime you want to freeze the frame and try to work it yourself, and then you can start back up and see if you match me. All right, so we're going to do a series of 4. And so after we've done 1 or 2 and you want to freeze and try it on your own, please do so. So at the beginning of year 3, your client had $233,000 at the beginning of receivable. And I'm using the conceptual model. And this is available in Canvas as an Excel file if you want to also use it. And then the beginning balance and the allowance is $8,000. Great. Then sales for the year were $789,000, of which 80% were on credit. And credit sales makes accounts receivable go up. So we're going to get 80% of the 789 times 0.8. And then collections on account were $600,000. That makes accounts receivable go down. And then $5,000 was written off, and that makes accounts receivable and the allowance for bad debts to go down. Okay, so we've populated with the data that they gave us. Now, what's their policy? If your client's policy is to accrue, that is to record 1% of credit sales as bad debt. Okay, so let's do that. Bad debt's going to be 1%. Here's credit sales times 0.01 for the 1%. So there's the bad debt expense using the percent of sales method. Wouldn't do it like that if it was percent of receivables method. But here their policy is 1% of credit sales. That's a percent of sales method. What is the accounts receivable balance below any doubtful accounts? So that's down here. They're really asking for net realizable value, which means I need the balance in both of these accounts. So let's add up all the accounts receivable. There's the balance in accounts receivable before any allowance for doubtful accounts. Now let's do the allowance for doubtful accounts. Put that in here. And then net realizable balance, or the balance after the allowance for doubtful accounts, would be the 249,888. Let's try another one. So here at the beginning of year 3, the client had 280. All right, so beginning accounts receivable here. And beginning doubtful accounts, 17,000. All right. Sales for the year were 649, 80% on credit. Okay, so 649, 123 times 0.8. Collections were 600,000. That will make accounts receivable go down. And bad debts, or excuse me, write-offs will make accounts receivable go down and the allowance go down. All right, if the client's policy is to accrue 6% of uncollected sales, uncollected sales is accounts receivable. That doesn't make this a percentage of sales method. It makes it a percentage of receivables method. Uncollected sales is receivables. You have to convert the code into the right word. So they want to record 6% of accounts receivable as the expected uncollectible. That's this cell right here. This is what you have set aside to cover future write-offs. And they want the expected uncollectible or estimated uncollectible, that balance there, to be 6% of uncollected sales. That is 6% of accounts receivable. And what is the balance? Okay. So let me get the ending accounts receivable. And now I want this here to be 6% of ending accounts receivable. And that's what they asked for, is that ending balance. I didn't have to solve for bad debt expense. They didn't ask for that, but they could have. And they could have asked for a net realizable value, but they didn't. All right, now you try one. Freeze the frame. You work this one. So there's our beginning balances, credit sales, which will make accounts receivable go up as the 753 times the 0.8. Collections will make it go down. Write-offs make it go down. And they also make the allowance go down. All right, and the policy. Client's policy is to accrue 6% of accounts receivable. Uncollected sales is accounts receivable as the estimated or expected uncollectible. What's the balance? Okay, so now I need to get the ending balance in accounts receivable, and the ending balance, the target, the amount that I estimate as needing to handle future write-offs is accounts receivable times 6%. So my answer here is going to be the 22944. They could have asked for net realizable value. They didn't. They could have asked for bad debt expense. They didn't. So not only do you have to do it correctly, but you also have to key in on what they want, not what you think you can give them or you were hoping they ask, or something similar you've seen before. They asked for something different. Be very careful to read what do you want. All right, you freeze the frame. Try this one. So the beginning in there, credit sales is 784 times 80%. Collections, it reduces accounts receivable. Write-offs reduce accounts receivable and also reduce the allowance. All right, the client's policy is to accrue 6% of uncollected sales, which is accounts receivable, as the expected uncollectible. Now, notice they don't say as bad debt, as the expected uncollectible. So that's this here. This is the ending balance in the allowance, what's been set up to handle future write-offs. So they want this number to be 6% of uncollected sales. So that's 6% of ending accounts receivable. What is the balance in the allowance? Okay, so let's get ending accounts receivable. And now this target ending should be this times 6%. All right, good luck.